Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Elite City Podcast. I'm home. That's all it is. It
Nice.
took me 17 hours to write that.
That was good.
Thank you.
That's good. Very good.
Cut to black. Anyways, Biddy is... Everybody send Biddy positive vibes. Don't want to get too personal, but she's going through some animal stuff with her kitty, so keep him in your thoughts. Biddy, you got this.
Yeah, we love you, Biddy.
Yeah, absolutely. You got this. Got your back. So that's where she is. And it's just me and Rick, the old school crew, and we're gonna do old school stuff. So it's gonna be funny here in a little bit. But yeah, CM Punk went back to WWE. I can't even say it without laughing. That's not a joke. CM Punk went back to WWE. That's hilarious.
I was like, when it happened, I was like, first I was upset when it happened. I was like mad. And then I was thinking, I had a whole thing planned in my mind that I was going to say on the podcast. Like I had a whole thing. Like it happened at like 11 o'clock on Saturday or something. And so I'm like, okay, in my head, like as I was going to sleep, I'm like writing this thing that I'm going to say on the podcast. And then he showed up on Raw. And we'll get to that.
Right.
But I'm just going to do my thing because I already wrote it.
Yes. Yeah. Do it. This is great.
Basically what it was is that Punk leaving was similar to Cody leaving, even though it was like the circumstances were obviously very different. Like them both leaving, they don't hurt AEW in the ring. And Punk especially doesn't hurt AEW like backstage. It probably helps AEW backstage that he's not there anymore.
Right.
But it hurts their, at least in my mind on Saturday when I was thinking of this, it hurts like AEW's image and AEW's story. Because AEW's always been, the place for wrestlers, the place where you can be treated well, the place where like, even if you're not like, one of the quote unquote chosen ones, like you can shine, you have a chance, you have an opportunity there. Right. Unlike WWE. Correct. And like the people who supported CM Punk when he walked out in 2014 were probably a lot of the same people who thought like Cody was misused when he was in WWE the first time. Mm-hmm. And they're the people who got sick of WWE when it was, it's better now apparently, but there was, I think I talked to you about this privately. There was a time in like 2013, 2014, 2015. It was the worst programming you could ever watch. It was awful. And the fans who, left when Punk left or left when Cody left, they're the same people who, were looking for something else. They're the people who found, New Japan or ROH or, who found Bullet Club, who found Kenny Omega, who found Young Bucks. They're the reason that there was, the original All In. And they're the reason AEW started, because these people who were like fed up with WWE all kind of were looking for something new. When Cody left, it kind of hurt that a little bit because it was like, oh, one of the guys who started this whole thing is gone and he went to WWE. But it made sense a little bit. He fits in there.
Absolutely.
Right. His dad worked there a long time. He fits in WWE. Punk, on the other hand, I don't know. He always seemed like he was like the anti-WWE guy. Even when he was there, he seemed like he was like, he didn't fit in ever.
Right.
And it seemed like he fit in so well in AEW when he first showed up. Like that.
Agreed.
That Rampage debut, like we've talked about it a million times. That was amazing.
What a moment.
And like the first year or so when he was there, and then not just him, but like him and Danielson and Adam Cole. And that year was
fire.
Yeah. Incredible.
Yeah.
And then it kind of all fell apart. And that was okay because like the vibe was there. Like he might've been gone, but AEW was still AEW. It was still like the alternative, still like the place for wrestlers. And then he went to WWE and it kind of felt bad. It felt like that vibe that everyone had from the pipe bomb promo. It felt like it was kind of gone. Like, oh, if he couldn't fit, it didn't work out for him at AEW. Maybe AEW isn't that good. It felt like, like when you're at a party and someone leaves the party, I'm going to go to this other party, and then comes back an hour later. It's like, yeah, that party was lame. And then you're like, oh, okay, yeah, screw that party. I'm not going there. That's lame. Like they were like the cool guys, right? They were the cool guys who started this revolution. And then they were just like, yeah, revolution's garbage. I'm leaving. And like left. And it kind of sucked. Like it felt bad. But then I saw him on Raw.
Yeah.
You haven't seen it, I don't think.
No, I'm
It
not. I'm
was
not going to tarnish the legacy of him. And my seriously, when people said it was that bad, like when I'm reading people that I trust on the internet, like, oh, I can never look at him the same way. I'm
yeah,
like,
it was
okay, I don't
bad.
want to see. Yeah,
It was bad. It was first of all for some reason it was like 6 minutes long. They they didn't give him any time, which one day he's gonna get mad at that and flip out.
right.
But it was like the most generic, lifeless promo that I've ever seen him give. His whole thing is like he seems real, right? He seems like he
Right.
believes everything he says. He seems like a real guy.
Right.
No, it didn't seem real at all. Outside of like the references he made one or two references to like the pipe bomb promo when he's like, I'm the best in the ring and the best on commentary, which like he said then. Outside of like those couple references, literally anyone who'd been gone for a while could have been given that on a piece and read that promo, and it would have worked. It would have worked if The Rock came back. It would have worked if it could have been anyone's promo. It was that dull.
I'm glad I'm never going to see it.
Like I told you, someone on Reddit said it was like they fed the First Dance promo to an AI system and was like, do this, but make it for WWE. That's how that's how boring and lifeless and like it was exactly like someone handed him some cue cards on the way to the ring. Was like, just read this. It was bad.
That's awesome.
And now I think I was down. Like I was actually like literally like I felt bad. Like he's one of my favorite wrestlers ever.
Right.
And I felt bad that he was gone from the company that I like watching. And I felt bad for AEW. I felt bad. But now I look at it as like, now it seems like it's an opportunity because it looked before like, the cool guys were gone. And now it's like, oh no, the cool guys are still here. He sucks. Like he's the one that's bad.
Yeah. Yeah. He's the common denominator.
Yeah. And anyone who watched him in AEW and who watched him in WWE knows the difference. You can see the difference. Like him in AEW was so much better than WWE that you can look at that and go, oh yeah, no, I get it. They are the guys. AEW is the place where you can be yourself and you can have freedom and maybe you can have too much freedom.
True.
But they have a chance now to be like, no, we're still the cool party. Like if people left our party, it's because they don't fit here, but that's not us. That's them.
Right.
Right. So they have a chance now to be like a real actual alternative.
And like, if you notice, like you brought up the First Dance in a 1 hour show on its second episode, they let Punk open the show and basically just said, all you got to do is stop once right before you talk. We're going to commercial for 90 seconds. Then you're good. We'll go to break after. It's WWE. They're like, no, we're going to close the show with you. We have 8 seconds left. Get out there.
I mean, I kind of get that they closed because that's what everyone was watching for. Like I know it's just my experience, but I saw a lot of people online and a lot of people I talked to about wrestling who watched Raw. Like I watched part of Raw because I was like, I want to see what he says. There were probably a bunch of AEW fans or a bunch of like lapsed fans who hadn't watched WWE in a while who were like, I'm going to watch that show because I want to see what he says. So I get why they put it on at the end because they wanted you to watch the whole show. First of all, huge mistake. The show was bad. So like, they shouldn't have. That's not the show that you should have had to get people to come over. It was bad. But then they gave up. Like I think he got 6 minutes or something. Like it was like the show ends at 11. It was like 10:50 and they're like, we're going to break. When we come back, CM Punk. I'm like, wait, they're going to break and then he got like 6 minutes. It made no sense. And I know that they were like, oh, his matches run long. But screw those matches. Like he was the reason that people were watching that show.
Right.
And they're like, yeah, we still don't have time for him.
And he ended up with about, what was it, like 1.6 million people during his segment. Like it fell off hard.
Yeah, I mean, shows always fall off at the end, right? It's
exactly.
People are going to go to sleep.
On a Monday night, 11 o'clock.
Yeah. I don't know. And like I said, one day he's going to get mad at that. Probably on Monday, they were like, oh, we're going to cut your 15-minute segment down to 6. And he was probably like, yeah, sure, whatever. Because he's trying to like be cool and fit in.
Right.
But this is CM Punk. One day they're going to go, actually, this match between The Miz and whoever is going to be 25 minutes and not 15. So we're just cutting your segment entirely. And he's going to lose it.
Yeah. Yeah. He's a shell of the human being that he once was. I mean, you could just tell. And now it's a money grab, obviously.
I mean, he thought like the one line that seemed like it was actually him was after his promo was over. He kind of just said to the camera, like, "I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to make money," which was like, I guess that's true, right? That's real. But first of all, it's sad, and second of all, it undermines the promo that he gave, because the promo that he gave was like, "I'm here to prove that I'm still the best in the world," and then after he's like, "Actually, not. I just want to make money." Like, it was bad. It was bad.
Well, okay.
So I can almost guarantee you that they had CM Punk shirts available for sale
at the arena.
Yeah, guarantee that whatever WWE event you go to, they will have CM Punk shirts available for you to buy. They won't run out before the show starts.
Yeah, very true. They will also have every other person on the roster shirts.
They can do that. That's a thing that they can do. They're very good at that.
Very good. Very good. I will give them that.
I don't want to make this like a CM Punk podcast because he's gone.
Yeah, he's gone.
It was. I think felt like we needed to talk about it.
Oh yeah, I'll definitely need to talk about it. We gave him 12 minutes. We can.
We gave him more time than WWE gave him.
That's very true. That's very true.
There you go.
Well, you talked about something that happened on the WWE side of the coin. Let's flip it back over to the AEW side of the coin, and let's talk about Adam Copeland and Christian Cage finally in-ring promo. Oh,
so good.
So good.
Was this the best thing they've done at least this year?
That is that's like my segment of the year, unless something drastically changes. Like that was like 20 years of, if you watched wrestling in the 90s, like the built-in story, like the injuries, the breaking up of the tag team, the getting back together, they used to do the 10-second poses or whatever it was, like all the fun stuff. You're like, okay, this is going to be awesome.
They even somehow made it make sense that WWE used to call them brothers and then started calling them friends.
True.
They even kind of made that make sense, to be like, he hung out, my dad was kind of like your dad. We were like brothers. Like they kind of even made that make sense.
That's really cool. I didn't even pick that up. That's so awesome. Good.
Such a great promo.
And
the Christian promo was great. The Copeland response was great.
Yes.
They didn't beep it, apparently.
No, I was gonna say let's give the man on the hot button. Let's give him some credit. He accidentally didn't press it. I was thinking about this. In a moment like that, obviously Christian said it once, and they beeped it out. Blah blah blah. It's a live event. You have that 7-second rule, but I wonder if somebody in production was like, "Screw it, we're just going to pay the fine."
Yeah, I think they probably were fine with it. I'm sure like Tony Khan didn't care.
Well, I mean, getting it on TV, like actually telling the person, like, "Hey, don't hit the button tonight."
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. He just told him not to. Think, just let it go.
Because like you figure, like, I mean, I don't know what it is, but there's no way it's like $1 million fine. Like,
right? And that would actually work out better if he told TBS, like, "Oh, we're just gonna like just let it happen. I'll pay. Don't worry."
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. He'll foot the bill. It's not gonna go to like the production crew or whatever,
and they like won't be surprised by it. They'll be
right because it made it. Him saying that made it, and us hearing it made it that much better.
Yeah, for sure. I was thinking if I had told you later on, we're going to do some predictions for the year. If I had told you 2 years ago, in the same week, CM Punk is going to be on Raw, and Adam Copeland is not only going to be on AEW, but he's going to say the F word.
And his segment will be 10,000 times better than Punk's.
Wow. What a year for wrestling this has been.
Yeah.
How good is Christian though?
In that segment you saw it. Like he literally turned off Christian Cage and turned into Christian from WWE for a second when he was like, "I wanted to sorry," and then he kind of got the like a little bit of a higher voice, and then when he went to hit him, it was so obvious he was going to hit him, and he was like, "Really?" It was so good.
My favorite part was as soon as he said, "You grew up with a single mom, right?" The crowd's response was just like, "Ooh." He set up up that gimmick so well that as soon as he mentions like being a
Yes.
mom or a dad, the crowd is like, "Oh, where's this going?"
Yeah. That and let's give Roderick Strong credit whenever Copeland wouldn't come out and the crowd just automatically knows to yell at him now. Like, I hope that becomes like an AEW thing. Like,
Yeah.
It's hilarious. As long as it doesn't last as long as the stupid what stuff.
Oh, the what chants are horrible. Like they whatted Tony Storm, which first of all, not Tony Storm. She's a treasure. Don't do that.
Yes.
But also that was annoying like 20 years ago when Austin, like when people were doing it to like the first couple times Austin did it,
yes.
was funny. And then like after a month it got old.
Yes.
And that was 20 years ago. Just stop.
Oh, wow. Was that really?
I had a small issue with this feud. I told you about it before that promo. My issue was that I get that they were like, because initially Adam Copeland wanted to be his partner, and then he didn't want to fight him, right? And then now suddenly he's like filled with rage. He's like, I have to kill you. I wish they'd have stretched that out a little bit longer. I think they're trying to get it to be in Montreal next week. They want the match in Canada, so I get it. I wish they'd have stretched out like him going from I'm not fighting you ever to I'm going to break your neck and leave you for dead. I wish they'd stretched that out a little bit because it sounded like he suddenly snapped. But because of this promo, now I'm like, now I'm totally all like sort of pun intended all in on how this is going. That was the best thing I've seen in a long time.
It was so freaking good. It is.
He came back. He came out of retirement and said to WWE, he came out of retirement the same time Edge came back.
Yeah.
And was like, we could work together. We could have either work together, or we could have a feud. And they're like, no, we don't want that. And they didn't sign him. And he's like, okay, I'm just leaving then.
Right. Well, and then look at Adam Copeland. He goes to management and was like, hey, I want to start winding down, but what do you got for me? Would you send me to the performance center? I can train. I can do this. They're like, we don't have anything. Like, really?
It's just they have like a weird level of disrespect for both of them. It's weird.
It's probably because Jim Ross signed them and like Vince didn't, and Vince like holds that against them.
Yeah, 30 years later, Vince is still mad. Yeah,
like
that makes sense.
It really does because he's that insane. Or like they signed their contracts in like black pen instead of blue, and it like found out
he has a deep-seated hatred of black pen.
He's like
somewhere in the 1970s, someone signed something in black pen that offended him, and now he's been mad at it ever since. Yeah,
right, and that's how deep-seated that hatred is.
Right,
like,
he's a weird man.
He's very weird. Okay. Anyway.
You have to take a shot at Vince McMahon, even though apparently he's not in power there anymore. You still have to take a shot at Vince McMahon.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he just sold 840 million shares of stock, or some ridiculous number of stock.
Yeah, you can't not take shots at Vince McMahon.
Exactly. Yeah, he literally
deserves it.
Yes, because literally, what was that? I don't know. 6 weeks ago, he made $9 billion in one day. I mean.
The thing is, you know how he's apparently out of creative now, which I believe that he is. But he was quote unquote retired before and he came back. Right. I feel like one day he could just walk in and be like, "See a Punk, who's that guy?" and just fire him again. Like it's entirely possible.
It's like such a wild card because for some reason like nothing ever works the way it's supposed. Because you could be like, "Oh, well, it's corporate now," and like somehow he'll like
somehow he still gets his way. It's
right.
Weird.
Yes. Where in like a normal situation, like if the CEO of Ford came in and was like, you know what, I'm firing everybody. They're like, whoa, we have shareholders and like,
right.
But Vince somehow is able to do this.
Yeah.
Repeatedly. Over the years. Like it's not just one time. Unbelievable.
But like we said, unpredictable year
for
wrestling. Unpredictable couple of years for wrestling.
Very true.
This time last year, we wouldn't have thought Punk would be in WWE. We wouldn't have thought Adam Copeland would be in AEW. Though you did predict it, but not on the official prediction show. So I'm not giving you credit for that.
That's fine.
We wouldn't have thought Vince McMahon would be just gone.
True.
We wouldn't have thought any of this stuff. So here's what we did think.
I cannot wait to hear these.
We didn't do well.
Awesome.
So my first one. Not bad. My prediction was there will be a Forbidden Door 2, and it will be in Japan. I mean, there was a Forbidden Door 2. I was there. In case
You were
didn't know.
there.
I went to that show, but it wasn't
Sick.
in Japan, and AEW hasn't done anything in Japan. So I'll give myself partial credit.
Okay.
Your first prediction: Hook will be the Acclaimed of 2023 in the sense that he'll be the next homegrown star.
I don't think he's that big.
No, I don't think so either. I don't think I agreed with you at the time,
Yeah.
but I don't think it happened. Hook kind
Yeah.
of AEW like I love AEW, but they've had a bit of a problem with like letting their homegrown guys go a little stale. Like Hook had huge momentum and then kind of cooled off, and like Wardlow had huge momentum and kind of cooled off, or very much cooled off. Like people like Hobbs, like they dropped the ball on a lot of people in the last year or so.
Very true. Very true.
So that made me think, who is their next home? Like is there a homegrown star?
Julia. I mean,
yeah, Julia. I was thinking Orange Cassidy.
Oh, Orange, yeah.
Because last year he was a big deal, but he wasn't like.
That's true. He had a hell of a 2023.
Yeah, but yeah, Julia's a good call. She's
Sky
gone
Blue.
from like Sky Blue as well. They've both gone from like kind of forgettable wrestlers, to really really good.
Like really good, and
yeah,
it makes me think like, you've brought it up a million times back, months back, like when Jade was working with Danielson, and Danielson was having these little like, not necessarily like classes, but obviously like opportunities to like roll around and learn like before the shows and everything. I wonder if A, he's still doing that, and B, more and more people have joined in, like Julia and Sky, and because they've got like insanely better, like real quick. There wasn't like that middle ground. It was like, oh, they're okay. Oh, they're good.
And like, they stopped doing Dark and Elevation, where they would have, people like them would have grown. Like that's where the Acclaimed grew, was being on those shows. Now those shows are gone. So yeah, they kind of got there without those, which is even more impressive.
That is more impressive, and especially in the women's division that we always talk about that gets limited time. So yeah, them to get over this year was big.
Well, that brings me to both of our second predictions were pretty similar. And speaking of women's division, we were very wrong. Mine was a singles women's match with headline at AEW pay-per-view, which was in retrospect insane. Why would they? No, that's never gonna. They don't have main events on at 9:20.
True.
Yeah, that didn't happen. And then you went a little bit further, predicting what that match would be. You thought the main event of All Out would be Jade versus Mercedes.
Oh wow, that'd been sick.
And that All Out would be their biggest show of the year, which it was not. But I can see why you thought that.
Oh yeah, that's true, because we didn't know about
All In.
All In yet. Okay.
That's another one. When not only were we predicting Jade would be in main events, nope, she's in WWE.
That's true. Wow, that is true.
In terms of predictions, that's something like that's a prediction we wouldn't have made last year.
True. Wow, great point.
Now Mercedes, what do we think about her? Danhausen made a mention of it today.
A great mention too.
Speaking of which, I'm gonna mention your third one because it's related. Your third one is Danhausen will get a blimp.
Which he still needs a blimp, but he offered to give it up.
Yes.
He told Tony Elite, give her all the money.
So he's serious if he's willing to give away the blimp.
Right. So personally, I've said this in our Elite City group chat. I think she's signed already. I think they did a Will Ospreay with her, but on the down low, and they'll like, okay, well, we can announce Ospreay because that's huge, but it's not Mercedes huge.
Yeah, I hope so. I could see, like, there was some rumors this week that she's going to be the next one to go back to WWE, and I could see that only in the sense that, like, we've talked about this before, if she's going to be in one match for 10 minutes every 3 or 4 weeks, like, she's not going to agree to that, and nor should she.
Totally shouldn't.
So they have to fix something with how often they show women on TV. Like, they have to fix that for her to come over.
Yeah. One of my predictions is something to that effect, actually.
All right.
So
we'll do our last prediction from last year, which was mine.
Okay.
And I got close.
Okay.
MJF will hold the title all year long, all the way to Winter's Coming, and then lose the belt and the ring and everything all at once to Eddie Kingston.
Oh, well, he's still going to have the belt at Winter's Coming. So
yeah, to be fair, Winter's Coming has not happened yet. So
right,
this could come true. It won't, but it could.
It totally could. Well, it actually can't because Eddie's in that tournament. So
right.
Damn it.
And the ring, and they moved the ring thing. Last year it was at Winter Coming, but they moved it.
Oh, that's right. That's right, because I was upset about it. So they put it back on its October schedule. Because again, I'm the only person that cares about that damn ring.
I feel like last year they forgot about it, and then by December they're like, "Uh-oh, the ring!
Yeah,
quick, do it at Winter's Coming."
There's one guy complaining about it on the internet, Tony. He wants to know where the ring is.
And Tony is extremely online and read that tweet and was like, "I have to fix this."
Yeah. So we'll book it for Winter's Coming. We got it under control.
But I liked MJF holding the belt all year. I thought that might happen, and it did. So I'm happy about that. I didn't think he'd turn face halfway through.
I would
predicted that.
Never seen that coming. Well, I mean, in theory, saw it coming, but didn't think it would happen the way that it did.
Right.
Go ahead.
And I think the Eddie Kingston being AEW championship has sailed, though.
Oh, I don't.
I think he was. I think he was super over a year and a half ago. I think it's not happening now. I think them giving him the ROH title was like their thank you to him for being there through the pandemic and doing a great job at getting himself over. But I don't think he's going to be AEW champion.
I'll politely disagree just because I think they will Mick Foley him. Like it'll. I don't want to say like take anything away from Mick's championship and say that it was like fake or anything. It wasn't, but like. It was starting to get stale. They needed something new. Yeah, they gave it to Foley won it on Raw or whatever, but it was a nice little wrinkle and a little it was 3 months run, the first one, something like that. Yeah. It wasn't super long, but I think that's what they'll do for Eddie. Like the belt scene will be like the same 2 or 3 people for like a year, and then just to throw a wrinkle and give it to Eddie. Will step in and be like, you know what, I had enough of this. He'll win, and then maybe have it for a summer or something.
That would be great. I'd like to see that. I just don't think it'll happen, but that would be great if it did. I would like to see that a lot. I think Eddie deserves it.
Totally. Okay. I cannot wait to hear my third one because I totally had no idea what I.
Oh, your third one. Your third one was the blimp.
Oh, that's right. We started with mine. Okay.
Yeah. Man. So now we have this year's. Do you want to go first?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, it's weird that you said something quite like this last year. I'm saying AEW New Japan do a pay-per-view in Japan. I didn't say Forbidden Door 2 though. I just said a pay-per-view in Japan.
Nice. That'd be great. I feel like they kind of have to at some point.
Yeah, I get that, Forbidden Door is now probably an American thing and All In is going to be a European thing. I hope they do a Japan thing.
Yeah,
they really have to,
because it seems like their relationship is only getting better. They essentially New Japan basically told Will Ospreay oh yeah, if you're going to sign somewhere, sign with them because you can keep wrestling here.
Right.
They have such a good relationship that I feel like one day they'll have to have a pay-per-view there, and that would be great. I think the wrestlers would love it. Danielson apparently really wants to go to Japan and just hasn't had the opportunity to. So that would be great. I'd like to see that.
Oh,
it's similar to my prediction actually. My first prediction was AEW will have more international pay-per-views. So there you go.
Man, same page.
I thought that mostly because their biggest shows of this year were All In, obviously, and then Forbidden Door, which was in Canada. So that's I'm not saying their audience in the US isn't good, because it is, but them going to Japan or Mexico or something like that would get them a new kind of buzz.
Yeah.
And get them a new audience who hasn't seen them before. I think that would be really cool.
That would be great. And we talked about when we first started this podcast, when they were still doing shows, they were just going to places that WWE quit going to that were hot wrestling places.
Right.
So, add into now you're big enough, like you said, expand into Mexico, expand into, just go to random places that, WWE doesn't. And that's a great way to expand, and yeah, that's a great idea.
And I feel like that's probably that. It seems like that's why they're doing. I mean, that's not why they're doing, but like the Continental Classic is supposed to have that triple crown champion. I feel like they're going to use that as a person who goes to different countries.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a traveling belt. Like I think
it'll be what we thought the All Atlantic, the now international title, was going to be.
Yes. Good call.
And then one day, they're going to merge the international and the continental, and they're going to call it the intercontinental.
Yeah, the intercontinental.
I hope they call it the intercontinental. That would be great.
That would be the greatest belt in the history.
Jim Ross just quits wrestling. He's like, I'm done.
His head just explodes.
I'm never going to be able to say that.
Yeah, he's like, nope. Intercontinental.
That would be great. I would like that.
That is great.
All right, number 2 for you.
Number 2 for me, I said Swerve becomes the first African American AEW World Champion.
Yeah, that's also very similar to one of mine.
Oh, okay.
I agree. Swerve kind of has to at this point. Like, he's so good. Everyone likes him. I shared that article with you today about Tony Khan being like, Swerve is one of my favorite wrestlers. Like, Tony Khan likes him. He's outstanding. And yeah, I have no disagreement there.
And I mean, obviously, all jokes aside, there's definitely a trust level between Tony and Swerve. Like when Triple H tried to get him to leave, and he just reported it to the lawyers of AEW.
I love that.
I love it too.
Great.
But hey, that's professionalism. Like, he's like, A, not getting involved, and B, doing what a normal person would do that's contracted somewhere else.
Right. He's definitely like a smart businessman too. So I feel like Tony Khan probably likes that.
Yes.
And he has like connections in, hip hop world and various other industries too. Like that he could be like a legitimate huge star. Yeah.
Like he could be like, I'm like, when I say like The Rock, but like different, like, because The Rock like went Hollywood, like I could legit see Swerve being like a hip hop star, like on the radio type musician.
Right. Yeah, I could, for sure. And not to be a knock on any of the previous AEW champions, but like they're not, maybe Jericho, but they're not like household names. If you ask someone who doesn't watch wrestling,
right,
about Kenny Omega, they have no clue. And that's not a shot at Kenny Omega. He's great,
right?
MJF or anything. But I feel like Swerve could be the guy who people who don't watch wrestling might know.
Yeah,
not yet, but one day.
Yeah, he definitely transcends like media in general.
Yeah, he's smart. He's like well spoken. He's good on the mic. He looks really cool. He acts really cool. He's got everything. He's good in the ring.
Yeah, like if someone held a gun to my head and said who's cooler, Hook or Swerve, I'd be like, dude, I don't know. You might have to pull the trigger. Like, I don't know if I can pick. It's like you're gonna pull the trigger if I say both, but like those are two of the.
He definitely has like the it factor that most people don't have. Like I've talked to before, like The Rock in the 90s was super cool. Scott Hall was like one of the coolest guys ever.
Yeah.
And Swerve's like that. Like he just has it. He's just cool. Like he's a guy, like you see him somewhere and you're like, yeah, that's a cool guy. Like and you can't fake that. You can't.
Yeah.
Like the saying, you can't teach that. He's just cool.
That's a great point too. Like the way that he carries himself, like you might not know who he is, but you would know he is somebody if you just saw him walking.
If you walked into a room at like a party or something, you'd be like, oh, who's that guy?
Yeah. Like you're like, oh, that guy's something. He's an athlete. He's something.
Right. You would assume he's a big deal in some capacity, just how.
Yeah. Like he has that aura of, So it's going to be a big year for Swerve.
Yeah, I agree. That my prediction was very similar. I was going to actually predict Swerve was going to be AEW champion, but then I thought that was too obvious because it seems like he's going to be. So I went a little bit more specific.
Okay.
And I said the main event for the AEW title at All In will be Swerve against Will Ospreay.
Oh.
That's my prediction.
Oh, man.
I think
I hope that happens.
In my mind, I think Swerve will walk in with the title and Will Ospreay will probably beat him for it because it's in England. But that could go the other way too, and that'd be fine as well. Oh. I think that I want to see that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because Will Ospreay is going to have a big moment at All In. Like that's part of the reason he's there.
Yes,
is because he wants to have a big moment at All In, and just based on everything we talked about with Swerve, like how much Tony likes him, how much Tony Khan trusts him. I could see them doing. That would be an outstanding match. That'd be an outstanding feud.
Yeah, Yeah, I was just gonna say Wembley might explode. Like
they're both like, I don't know how old Swerve is. Will Ospreay's like what, 30s, early 30s?
yeah.
I'm assuming Swerve's somewhere around that age too. They're
I'd imagine.
guys who
I'll look it up.
who you could see carrying things for a while. Like when
Totally.
when the Moxleys and the Danielsons, you know, when they're a bit older and don't do this full time anymore, Jericho, you know, people, even Kenny Omega, guys like Swerve and guys like Will Ospreay are going to be the guys who are carrying this. And I think having them at All In would be outstanding.
Swerve is 33.
Yeah, that's about what I thought.
I mean,
that's like peak age for like.
That's what I was just gonna say. These guys
now
are just hitting their prime, and
Yeah.
they all are signed for a billion years.
Yeah.
AEW has nothing but potential going forward. But before we move forward, I just want to say, like, again, anytime you as a company you sign someone like CM Punk, like, even though we made fun of like the Ric Flair thing, like, there's money there. Business people aren't stupid.
Right.
But the biggest signing that is of all of this is Ospreay and Jay White. Like, those are the two major signings of this year. Unless the MJF thing secretly happened, and like the rumor is he's signed to supposedly an extension to 28 or something, 27.
Right. Yeah.
If that's even true, we don't know. But if that's true, then that's the biggest signing of the year. But I mean, if all three of those happen this year, Tony Khan wins the 2020s.
Yeah. I mean, like, Punk is obviously a huge name. Adam Copeland is obviously huge. Bryan Danielson, They're all huge names, but they're like in their 40s.
Right.
So they're not going to be your future. They're going to be your presence for sure. Like, I'm not saying they're old. They're not like they can still do a lot, but they're not going to be the guys in 5 years. Whereas Will Ospreay and Swerve and MJF are going to be the guys who are they're going to be your foundation of the next 5-10 years.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you guys make fun of me all the time because I'm old, but Will Ospreay, I was like, Jesus Christ, I'm gonna be 52 when the dude's contract is up. I was like, wow, that's a long deal.
Yeah. Apparently he's getting paid too.
Good.
And he should. Like, he's outstanding. Yeah. He's great. He's a great. He doesn't have quite the I don't know, the mystique or like the presence of Swerve right now, but he still he seems like a big deal whenever he's anywhere, and he's getting better on the mic. He seems like his character seems pretty realistic. Like, it seems like a real guy. It doesn't seem like he's just like putting on a character. He's outstanding in the ring. So yeah, it's gonna be great. Whatever they do with either of them is gonna be great.
Did you listen to him on the media scrum from the last pay-per-view?
No.
He instantly comes out and he just like thanks everybody, and he's like, I'm so effing excited to be here, and he like his eyes get like real big, and he just like slowly turns his head to Tony Khan, and Tony goes, dude, this is YouTube, it's not TBS, you could say that here. And he was like, I'm seriously, guys, I have to get my mouth under control. He was like, they're not going to give me many live mics.
He's a real pro too. Like,
like
he did the thing with Impact. He had a couple of matches with Impact, and like they made him an offer and he didn't take it. Whatever, that's fine. Right. But apparently he was like super professional at Impact. Like, he said all the right things about how they're a great company and how he'd like to work with them in the future, and like had a great reputation backstage. And he's a pro.
That's so awesome. See, and that's what New Japan teaches you.
Yeah.
Like, and let's be honest, like, if just say Punk signed, AEW doesn't exist, Punk signed with New Japan. If Punk cuts that promo does that media scrum, they fire him on the spot.
Yeah.
If you like make that company look, you don't even remotely give it a black eye.
Right.
Yeah. So the way that they teach like the business side and becoming a pro, like, they do have a great system there, and that's really awesome that it knows like that the next generation is being taken care of, if that makes sense.
I can see Will Ospreay becoming AEW champion and then like being kind of like a touring champion. I can see him going to Japan or going to Impact, even going to like Rev Pro in the UK and just do it like just going everywhere.
Oh yeah. And like the match that I want to see him and Pac. Like,
Oh yeah,
I don't even know
that'd
if
be
they've
great.
ever wrestled, but just
Yeah.
them two would be unreal.
Yeah. I'm just excited about all the stuff he could do. Like
Yes.
whether or not him and Swerve are are in a feud or are in a main event, like just the fact that they have both of them
Yeah.
and whoever they're going to be in a match with, either of them is going to be great. Like
Yeah.
they could be completely different matches and Swerve will do a great
Oh
job
yeah.
and Will Ospreay will do a great job. Like they're both so good. They're definitely like they're the future of AEW for sure.
Yes. 1000%.
It's going to be fun.
Yes, it is.
All right, your next one.
My next one is, again, kind of goes to what you were saying about Mercedes earlier. I have either AEW / Ring of Honor will announce and hold an annual women's only pay-per-view. And make it
that'd be good. That'd be good.
Yeah, make it a women's only annual pay-per-view, and it'll start in 2024.
That would be good. My only fear with that is they would do that and then be like, well, then we don't have to put them on the rest of the shows, and then just like not have women on the rest of their programming, because I could see that happening. But in theory, I really like the idea. Yeah.
Well, the reason I said Ring of Honor is like old Ring of Honor, which Tony Khan seems to really like. They would randomly they would call the show Women of Honor, and they would like 3 weeks of Ring of Honor TV would just be Women of Honor. And like, I mean, then it would go back to normal programming and the women would be on that also. But they would just randomly do it. And it was fun. And again, it was like just enough of a little wrinkle that it didn't like make you forget about like the other stories that were going on, but it was like a cool, just totally different. Like, WWF never did that. ECW never did that. It was just a cool thing. And I hope they continue that tradition.
That would be great. I would like to see that.
Yeah.
But in general, they just have to do something with the women. Like they can't keep doing, you get 10 minutes a show and that's it.
Yeah.
Like they have 3 shows now and more if you count ROH. But like ROH apparently is doing fine with women. But like the 3 main AEW shows, like they can't give them a total of 20 minutes or something across 3 shows. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. You're totally hitting the nail on the head, and I agree wholeheartedly.
And I think it's going to hurt them. Like Mercedes is injured, so you don't like she wouldn't be wrestling here no matter what. She wouldn't be wrestling anywhere no matter what. But I could feel like that could hurt them. Not if she's not signed. If they made an offer, she could look at that and be like, well, I don't want only 10 minutes a week. I want to do more than that. Like Britt Baker was complaining on Twitter, which I think probably is worked complaining, but it might not be. I think lots of things are works that aren't. But she was complaining about her ring time. She said something like, "Oh, MJF got this much promo time and Christian got this much promo time. How come there was no promo time for me?" And why was there no like Tony Storm gets some promo time, but that's it.
True.
And all the women are like knocking out of the park. We talked about Sky Blue.
Yeah.
We talked about Julia, like Tony Storm doing outstanding. Like the women that they give time to are doing great.
Yeah.
So why don't they give them more time?
It has to be the network. It has to be. Because
otherwise it makes no sense.
Yeah. Because like we always say, we always go back to Ring of Honor, who Tony Khan also writes that. And I'll message you guys in the Elite City group, and I'm like 4 matches and 2 segments, 3 segments, 2 matches, like every week. It's the same formula. So it has to be somebody that holds some control at either Warner or TBS or somewhere along the lines.
I agree, but it's weird because like this week's Dynamite, we were texting during the show, and like there's always like I've talked about this before. There's always that lull in the middle of the show.
Yeah.
Right. Where like yesterday it was like, the Dante Martin thing, which great that he's back. Like I like Dante Martin, but that match with the Hardys and Brother Zay, like it was fine. The match was fine, but like I didn't care about it really at all. And 100%. They had like a Wardlow squash in there. They had like there's that part in the middle of the show that kind of dies where you're just like around 8:50 to 9:30, like it's kind of just like like put more women's stuff on there then. Like you're not using it for anything else, right? You're kind of just throwing in random matches. So have some random women's match. We joke about the women always being on at 9. Like,
Yeah.
put 2 matches on. Put one on at 8:45 and at 9:15. Like, put on 2. Who cares? Right? Like, you're using that time for like random, I just want to get people on TV matches. So why not have them be more women's matches?
Can't disagree with you.
It's weird.
Very.
You're right that it must be someone at a network being like gave them a limit for women, which is strange, but what else would it be?
Right. Because like it makes zero sense because and it works in Ring of Honor. Like it's not like, oh, it's forced or the stories are bad. It's Athena's the best story in Ring of Honor right now.
Yeah, again, she's another one. They gave her time and she's killing it. Right.
Yeah.
Like every person they've given an opportunity to has like knocked it out of the park. So why are they not doing it more?
It's a mystery.
It's a mystery. So yeah, I hope you're right. I hope there is a women's centric pay-per-view, or at least a greater focus on the women, because it's silly that there isn't.
Agreed.
All right, my third one. I had trouble coming up with a third one. I couldn't think of what my third one was going to be.
Okay.
But I decided on this one. I think the BCC splits up.
Okay.
And I think Claudio and Yuta end up on one side, and Danielson and Mox end up on the other side.
Oh.
And I'm hoping that they have like a little feud, because that would be fun.
That would be real fun. Oh, that would be real fun.
Because like we've said for a couple weeks, I love all the guys in the BCC, even Yuta.
Yeah.
But like it seems like they're kind of just there, right? Like they have good matches, but it kind of just seems like they just have matches. Right? Maybe that's what they want. Maybe that's what Mox and like Danielson want, is just to go out and have like a series of matches with great opponents. Maybe that's, but like I feel like they're kind of being a little wasted. Like Mox is so good and Danielson is so good and Claudio is good, and they're just kind of like floating around. I want them to do something, and maybe the thing that they're going to do is go against each other. Like maybe that's what will
that would
give them a story. That would be cool. I would like to see it.
Oh, that would be very fun. That would be.
They could. I was thinking they could position as like, how Danielson and Mox kind of like rag on Yuta a lot and beat him up and whatever. I feel like he could lose a match and they could like, get mad at him and start like pushing him around, and eventually Claudio could step in and be like, "Hey guys, that's too much," and start something there. That would be cool.
That would be super cool. Oh,
because I want them to do something, especially if this is like Danielson's last year as a full-time wrestler. He needs to have a feud. And we never really got the feud with him and Mox because they joined together instead. So maybe have them be together and feud with Claudio. I want to see it.
Or maybe that's how you end the career.
That's true. That's also true.
Or not career, full-time career.
Yeah, full-time career.
Well, before we go to our fantasy pick, do you think AEW makes a run at Sheamus, or do you think WWE tries to lock him up because?
There was that rumor to like come out a couple days ago. I don't know if it was a rumor or whatever, that they don't TKO UFC, whatever the company's called now, TKO. The thinking was, they're not going to pay for talent. We've talked about this, how they're not going to pay for talent. They're just going to have whoever wrestle because they don't think. But the rumor is, I forget the numbers now, but apparently like UFC spends something like 12% or 17%, I forget what it was, of their revenue on paying talent, like paying fighters. And WWE doesn't spend anything close to that. Like they're spending way less than that on wrestler salaries. So the thinking was maybe they'll try to balance that out. Like they're going to spend more on wrestler salaries because it works for UFC.
17% is still very low.
It's still very low. It was,
just like, wow. If you're less than that, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I know. From what I've heard of WWE, is they pay the big guys a lot, and then they pay everyone else like garbage.
Right.
But anyway, the thinking was that they don't want to lose wrestlers anymore, because I think it's somebody at UFC or TKO probably realized, hey, everyone keeps leaving our company. That's going to make us look bad eventually, which is true. So maybe they'll spend more money. Maybe they'll try to keep Sheamus, just like, he's a lifelong WWE guy. We don't want him leaving. That would look bad for us. But they're not like, he's not no offense to Sheamus, but he's not in like their he's not in like their long-term plans of being like a big guy. So are they going to spend money on him? I don't know. I would like to see him in AEW. I think that'd be great.
I think that'd be great too. It'd be fun.
because there is a bunch of guys, like they always talk about, like, oh, MJF's contract's running out. There's a lot of WWE contracts running out right now. And I think it was Meltzer who said these guys are all going to be so happy that their contracts expire in like 2024 because AEW is going to want them. WWE is apparently going to spend more money on, like, there's going to be bidding wars for, 5 to 10 guys. And it's going to be great. For the wrestlers, obviously, outstanding. Someone like Sheamus, someone like Drew McIntyre. I mean, the AEW would want them. I could see them making a big play. It just depends on if they want to leave.
Well, that's the other side of that coin too. Like, they're not going to play their hands. They're going to let everybody fight over them, and the biggest number's going to. Well, I mean, who wouldn't do that? I mean, seriously. You're not going to probably like, no, I only want 10,000.
Unless you're Darby.
Sure.
Darby's already said I'm not leaving.
Yeah, he was like, Tony Khan yelled at me. I was like, just give me a contract forever. He's like, I can't do that. Like, you're signed forever. That's like, you're not allowed.
Like, that's illegal.
Yes, that's illegal on a lot of levels, sir. He was like, I don't care, I'll sign it. Yeah, minus Darby Allin.
Sheamus though, going to WWE, going to AEW and like teaming with Claudio or feuding with Claudio, that would be good stuff. I'd love to see that. The bar was cool. I liked the bar.
Like I said, me and my buddies would always like watch the pay-per-views, and I had no idea like the stories that were going on, but the bar, like, their matches were always like, in bad WWE, their matches were always good. Yeah,
they were one of the good parts of like I said, the 2014-15 WWE was absolutely terrible, but they were one of, like, them and like the New Day were like the only good things, and Danielson until he retired were the only good things about WWE at the time. So that would be cool. New Day's contracts are up too. I can't see them leaving though.
I can't, but I mean, well, no offense to Big E, but like Big E has a broken neck, and like I know he's going to be okay, but like, do you sign him as a trio when he does, like, can't make him just a hype man? You know what I mean? Like, are they good? Well, or I mean, you could just make him a hype man, but is WWE going to do that?
Yeah. I can't see them leaving. I can see WWE wanting to keep them because they're like, Xavier Woods has all the Twitch stuff and the YouTube video gaming stuff.
True.
Like they're going to see that as that's helpful for their brand, and WWE, the thing that they're good at is helping their brand. So I can't see them letting them go, even if they're not going to use them on TV. I can see them keeping them just for like branding purposes because they're like fun and they attract a younger audience. They attract like a cooler audience. Like,
I was just going to say, they are WWE's Danhausen.
Yeah.
Like, they're the best PR that you could get. You could send them anywhere and people are going to show up.
Yeah. Like, and they attract like a different audience. They attract like the internet audience, the gaming audience. They attract that, which most of WWE doesn't care about. So yeah, I can't see them leaving.
Okay. So on to the big guns.
Yes.
You assigned, we get one fantasy pick.
Yes, this isn't so much a prediction as like something that you want to happen.
Yes. And mine's pretty practical.
All right.
I have a feeling that AEW and New Japan are going to let Impact through the Forbidden Door this year. The whole company. So
that would be cool.
3 company pay-per-view. And yeah, I think that between all 3 companies, you could have some crazy matches, and I think they let Impact in the Forbidden Door.
I would hope so. That would be really cool. I'm going to their pay-per-view, not pay-per-view. It's like a special event or something. It's on their YouTube channel. I'm going to that next week. Just because it was close by and it was $20. So I figured, why not? Zack Sabre Jr. is going to be there, so that's fun.
Did you say that's going to be on like live on their YouTube?
Yeah.
Oh, let me know. I'm going to watch it. Right. I didn't know it was televised or.
Yeah, it's on YouTube.
Oh, sick.
But yeah, they apparently, since they're changing their name back to TNA, apparently they made a big offer to Will Ospreay. They apparently made a big offer to CM Punk. Like they're trying. They're putting in money. Okay. They're trying to like. So I could definitely see them wanting to do something to promote their brand. I would love that. That would be really cool. I would hope that like Forbidden Door or All In or one of their shows becomes like the non WWE WrestleMania. Like every other company.
Oh, okay.
Other than WWE gets together, and like the original All In kind of was, right? Like
right.
Everybody other than WWE gets together and does a show. That would be fun. I would like to see that.
That would be great.
And
Nice.
Forbidden Door makes perfect sense because it's called the Forbidden Door, so why
Right.
not?
Yeah.
And there's some good matches you could have there.
Oh, there's so many. I was looking at the roster. I was like, oh man, there's so many opportunities with all these people. Oh,
yeah, that would be great. I want to see that, and that's a good prediction.
Thank you.
Mine is kind of grounded in reality too, but I put it as a wish because I don't think it'll happen. I want ROH to be its own thing. Not a shot at AEW, but like I don't like that like Yuta is an ROH champion or that Samoa Joe for the longest time was an ROH champion. I want ROH to be ROH, and I want guys to be signed to ROH who are just in ROH, and I want guys who are signed to AEW just to be in AEW. I want I'm not saying they can't show up on like a pay-per-view.
Right.
Like a New Japan guy will show up on an AEW pay-per-view, but I want it to be like when Okada shows up in AEW, you're like, oh, he's a New Japan guy on AEW. That's a big deal. I want them to establish ROH as like it's a different thing, and they're not an eight. So when someone does show up, it's a big deal.
Yeah, dude, that'd be awesome.
And I don't know if they pitch it as like a second brand or like a development brand, like how NXT is for WWE. Right. But even then, with NXT, like when Becky Lynch would go to NXT, it would be a big deal because that doesn't happen all the time.
Right.
So I would like to see it be completely separate. Like they don't tape it before AEW. It's its own thing where they have their own shows that are just them. And yeah, that's what I want to see.
It's something to add to that. I think I mentioned it a couple weeks ago. Or either on the show or to you, so I can't remember. Lady Frost kind of let the cat out of the bag. She is just signed to Ring of Honor, and now I think Rachel Ellering let it out that she also has just an ROH contract. So I'm wondering if that is starting to like transition, because like someone was asking them, why didn't you get your All Elite graphic? And Lady Frost basically said, well, because I'm actually only signed to Ring of Honor. Now, like you said, she can work. Like she said, she can work AEW shows if somebody's hurt, if they need someone, if they're going to do like a battle royal or blah,
Yeah,
she can do that, but it's an actual Ring of Honor contract.
Right.
So that kind of cleared a little bit up. Remember we were talking a few months back, like, oh, AEW contract, you must be able to go to both. But now apparently there must be, it's probably for tax purposes, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
So Tony Khan can actually have two LLCs, like, okay, this one is paying this one and this one is paying that one.
Right.
So anyway,
I wonder how their contracts work now, right? Like someone like Claudio or someone like Joe, who kind of has gone back and forth. Like, do they have to be paid separately for the ROH? Like, it doesn't really matter to us, but I'm just curious.
Exactly. So
like, are they paid? Like, is Samoa Joe paid separately when he goes to ROH? Like, is it a different check? Like, does it come from a different company? I'm curious about. Or do they just let him? It's weird. I don't know.
Yeah. So,
but yeah, I want them to be more defined. I want them to be separate, and like, so when an ROH guy comes up to AEW or an AEW person shows up in ROH, it's like someone from New Japan coming over, or like someone from Impact coming over. It's a separate company, even though they have the same owner. I would like them to be more separate. I would like them to be. I think part of the reason why they had maybe you're right with the contracts, because I think part of the reason why I had stuff like Samoa Joe and the Young Bucks won and Hangman won an ROH title. I think that was to pump up ROH as a brand.
No, good point.
To get you to pay attention to it, but I would like it to be separate, because that was weird. For a while, they had like Claudio and Jericho won the title for a bit, and then the Young Bucks and Hangman won the titles, and Samoa Joe, they were all AEW guys.
True.
Winning ROH titles, which I think was done to promote ROH, but I think that time is over now, and I would like them to just have it as its own thing.
And again, that's starting with the Final Battle pay-per-view. It's going to be on the streaming service. So, and they announced last week, it's only going to be on the streaming service. You can't even buy it on pay-per-view. I think that's pretty cool. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So you might be ahead of the game here. They might actually be in the process of separating the brand.
Yeah, I think it would be good because it would, without Dark and Elevation, they don't
Right.
have a space for like newer guys. So like, not saying that ROH should necessarily be developmental,
Right.
but it kind of would be, right? Like it's kind
Yeah.
of, you could sign a guy to ROH, you could sign someone. Oh, we wouldn't necessarily give this person an AEW contract, but we'll give them an ROH contract. Maybe it's only a 6-month contract or something, right? And see how they do.
True. Yeah.
I would like to see
that's
that
awesome.
because Tony Khan bought ROH, and I get why he bought ROH, because first of all, he didn't want the library to go to WWE, which is
Right.
good for him.
Right.
And I was also like, just as a wrestling fan, he's like, hey, that'd be cool if I owned ROH, and then bought it and was like, oh, what do I do with this?
Yeah. Yeah, it's just kind of it's still kind of just sitting there for being
Yeah,
honest.
it's like how, like, you know, like you're at a store and you impulse buy something for like $50, like a
Right.
shirt, and then you just never wear the shirt. You're like, it
Right.
looks cool in the store, but I never have an opportunity to wear it. Well, for Tony Khan, it's a $50 million wrestling company.
True. Unbelievable.
But yeah, that's what I hope happens. I hope it's something new with ROH, because
Awesome.
apparently their shows, like, I don't watch them, but
You
say
should.
you say their shows are good, and so I believe you.
They are good. Very good.
Yeah, I would hope. Like, I mean, Athena's kind of only ROH, right? She doesn't really, like, she was at one AEW show, but she's not really there very often. Maybe when they have pay-per-views, she shows up, but she's never on Dynamite or Collision.
No, she hasn't been on in ages.
Yeah.
So, do you have anything in closing, sir?
I think that's it for right now.
Yeah, same here. So
again, I always feel like I talk too much on these.
No, dude, you crushed. As we said, we're coming down to the last few weeks of the year here, so we're gonna do the preview for what the hell is it called? I was gonna call it World's End. I was gonna call it End of the World. Yeah, we're gonna do a preview for World's End before the worst night of the year to have a pay-per-view, but and then we're gonna do like a fun Christmas show too, where we just kind of hang out and talk, and you'll see.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
It's gonna be fun.
Left in the year. Yeah, December. December. It's essentially December. By the time this comes out, it'll be December. So
yeah. So, So until we'll just end it there. Until next week, everybody. Thank you again. Like, subscribe, share. People, tell somebody. Just one person. That's all. You like someone else that likes wrestling. You know somebody else that likes wrestling. So pass it along. It helps. And till next week. Later on.